Hey family, this is Philip Super, your empowerment specialist, and welcome back, Sessions. My prayer is that all is well with you and that you are living in the moment of now in your authentic self. That you are thinking on a higher level, that you are operating on a higher level. In other words, that you are not in the same place that you were 6 months ago, that you are consistently becoming better in whatever area that you deem that there are opportunities for you to advance in, that you're progressing in your mind, your emotions, and the clarity of how you operate, identify, and understand the things that are happening all around you. Hey, welcome back to Sessions. I am excited and I am overjoyed to be back in your space at this particular time to offer you some truth, to offer you conversation that's worth conversing, thoughts that are worth considering as we live in this world. Hey, so today, I am thinking. Let me fill you in on what has been going on in my world. Um, if you've listened to this podcast at any point, you would know that one of the things that I sincerely value, not necessarily always um, handled in the right way or understood it in the right way or accepted it or played my part in the value of it. But one of the things I value is community. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I started this podcast, for those who may not know, back in 2020, right when the COVID pandemic hit, I started this podcast because I believe that I have a voice. I have something to say that's worth listening to, that I want the world to hear. And those thoughts are towards building people, empowering people to see who they are and realize that the change that they seek in their lives starts from within. And a lot of times that is a challenge because when we look in the mirror, we're not only looking at the things around us, but we're looking at ourselves. And if we're honest with ourselves, because that's what that look in the mirror calls for, is honesty. We have to acknowledge that everything that we see, know, and understand about ourselves isn't pleasant to look at. But it's when we tackle those, whatever that may be, right? That perspective, that justification, that limiting belief, when we address it and then we understand where did that come from? Why have I subscribed to that truth? Why did I affirm that? Why did I take hold of that? And is it still conducive for where I am right now? Do I need to change it? Because is it really helpful for me? Or has it been an element in my life that has created more hurdles for me than it has opened doors for my acceleration, my progression, my advancement, right? Just some heavy questions that are worth asking when we look in the mirror. But it is when we do that that we find the power. We find the power to choose differently, to behave differently, to respond differently, to think differently. And that is the source of all change. Scripture says, be ye transformed, not more so by the people you hang around, but by the renewing of your mind. Not by what other people are saying to you, about you, and towards you, but by the renewing of your mind. And when we talk about transformation, it's the change in the formation of who we are, our makeup, our build. There's a book I've referred to before, the Four Agreements. It is a very impactful book because it talks about in our upbringing, we have subscribed to beliefs that have over the years impacted our behaviors. And thus, some of us, when we look in the mirror, if you're like me, we were able to look at the pattern and track it all the way down, trace it all the way down to the root belief, and understand that there may have been some components in that belief that worked, but there were also some other components that I didn't really need, or maybe I misunderstood, right? Just some deep questions that are worth asking. And so, with that's why I started the podcast, because I believe we have the power to make the necessary changes. God did not create us to not be able to function, right? He gave us what we needed. Scripture says you have everything that pertaining to life and godliness on the inside of you. We have it, but what are we doing with it? How are we stewarding that? And so it always begins, if you ask me, with that ability to see, to reflect, to look internally and see, who am I? And how am I operating, and what have I been operating with? And what I believe is that everything externally is a response to what is going on internally within us, whether we like the response of it or not. And sometimes we may not be able to see the correlation immediately, but I guarantee you, everything around you is responding to what you are attracting or repelling as a result of your thinking, your thoughts, your choices, your decisions, your operations. And all that begins within you. It's your heart, it's your mind. That's why it's called self esteem. It's how you esteem yourself, how you value your thoughts, right? Not that you would become so arrogant that you would think more of yourself than you should, but it is understanding the power and the significance that I carry, right? And so today, I want to I want to dive into this conversation. And so this is where I was. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I'm leading you somewhere. So just walk with me. This year, I had impressed upon my heart to start a community for men. And this community for men is called Refinery Men. If you understand the concept of of any refinery, it takes raw organic materials, right, and it processes them, and because in their raw state, there's not much usage for it, but more so potential. But when you refine it through the processes in a refinery, which are oftentimes uncomfortable, but they are refining, they become products that are used and usable for multiple purposes. And so they become the opposite of what some people would call someone a menace to society. They become contributors. They become um, plausible contributors, right? They offer something of value and of substance. They're ready, right? And I believe, this is my belief, that God uses life not just for the gender of men specifically, but for humankind. That God uses the situations in our lives to refine us, to refine our thinking, to refine our heart, right? Our spirit. But being a man, I understand that men, we typically isolate ourselves in the moments of discomfort. And there is a balance in that, because there were times in our lives where isolation is necessary. You need to step away, you need to step back sometimes, but it should not be the consistent thread of our life that most of our seasons are in isolation, because God developed us for community. He developed us to build camaraderie, to be able to have that shoulder to lean on, that advice. Proverbs speaks about a multitude of counsel. And we're not meant to conquer and live to the fullest life all by ourselves. The greatness of who we are comes to life when we're stimulated by the greatness of those that are around us. And so I started a community called Refinery Men. And we meet every Sunday at 7:30 on Zoom, and it has been transformational, like literally. Like it's been powerful. We've had men who will tell you, like, this call saved my life, literally, not metaphorically, literally. Um, that this call has strengthened me, that this call was an answered prayer, and the level of conversation, the depth of which we can talk and discuss, not in a way of complaining and bashing, but of empowering, of being transparent, of being open before each other as men. Um, in our full masculinity and strength, we are who we are. It has been powerful. And in one of our conversations, I remember talking to one of the men, and I said to him, every man at some point in his life, he needs the affirmation of another man that says, I see you. I am proud of you. And I affirm you in the path that you're going and the decisions that you're making, the qualitative decisions that you're making as a man. And I believe that's important. I won't go into depth about it, but I will say that I believe that that is important because culturally in our society, there is so much negative talk, negative stereotypes as it relates to men, right? And what men should do, need to do, don't do, aren't doing. It is so much easier to grab an article, a podcast, um, even in movies, the projection of men, if I dig deeper and say minority men, black men, that deprives us of strength, doesn't speak to the strength of who we are, doesn't speak to the weight that we carry, but almost, almost cuts down and makes it look as if we're not here, we're not present, we're not striving, we're not progressing, we're not becoming. The magnification is on the fall, not on the rise. And so I believe every man needs another strong man in his life that would affirm him. But for the conversation of this particular session, I want to open this up beyond the gender of a male and speak to you, my sister, and you, my brother, that everybody needs someone in their life that will speak words that confirm inner affirmations that we have in reference to ourselves. Now, listen, when we talk about affirmations, we're talking about positive statements that we identify with, positive statements, positive belief statements that we make about ourselves to ourselves. And it is good to have someone else in your life who also agrees to speak those same things as it relates to you. I believe that that in itself is so powerful because this world, if you are not careful, you get caught up in everyone else's definition of who you are instead of your own. You look up this word affirmations, and it talks about, it's an assertion, it's a declaration, a statement, a proclamation, a pronouncement, an assurance. It's affirming something, in particular you. It's like emotional support or encouragement. To speak well of yourself, to speak highly of yourself, your potential, your capabilities, and what you have done, right? Those areas in which you have conquered in your life. Why does this matter? And why is this relevant? Well, because it is important for us to understand that whether we are consciously aware of it or not, that every day there are affirmations that we are co-signing to in our own mind, in our thoughts, and in our thinking. Certain situations arise and you tell yourself you can't do it. You're telling yourself something. And in that particular instance, you're not affirming, but you're giving yourself what we call negative self-talk or negative affirmations, where you're highlighting the negative things, the negative belief system that you have about yourself that eventually becomes the very limits that you build and turn around subconsciously and try to tear them down by taking back what you thought about yourself, right? And going against, now you have to fight against the very thing that you said you couldn't do. Now you have to fight to do it, or either you give up. But you got to understand that your mind is powerful. And so the thoughts that you subscribe to, those beliefs that you give yourself to, listen, they have an impact on your operation, on your daily operations. That you're just not showing up. You're showing up as you see yourself. You're showing up. You can be strong, but still show up in weakness because you amplify your weaknesses in your thinking. Dude, that is powerful. That you can be a strong person who chooses to use that strength to amplify your weakness. And instead of you showing up in the strength of what you are able to do, you show up in the insecurity and the weakness of what you deem yourself to not be able to do. And that should make you think, what am I giving my strength to? Am I building myself up in my thinking, or am I tearing my own self down? Am I creating my own barriers? Am I creating my own walls? Am I creating my own problems? Am I self-sabotaging myself because of the way that I think? Because of the thoughts that I think towards myself? Scripture says that God told Jeremiah, I know the thoughts that I have towards you. And in summarizing that, he says they are not thoughts of a destructive end, but that you would prosper, that you would succeed. And some of us in our minds, we think the lesser of ourselves. We think, man, I'm gonna lose. Man, I can't win for losing. That's the statement I've heard over and over. And at times I've repeated it towards to myself in reference to situations that I was experiencing. And the truth of the matter is that we live out our thinking. And so we have to understand that just as powerful as negative self talk is, negative affirmations, the same way that they are effective in tearing us down, eroding our confidence, right? Distorting the image of truth and empowerment, just as powerful are the affirmations. What we identify and stir up within us the goodness, the strength, the capabilities, the skill set. Sometimes we are discouraged because we look at a thing as a seed, and because the moment that we're currently living in is so intense, we think that the seed has no use. It hasn't, we can't do anything with that seed. I need that seed to have already been grown up and manifested, and I need it to already be a tree today. And what do? We negate the seed. And so in the next season of our lives, when the seed, if we had watered it at that time and nurtured it, would have matured, we're still looking at it as a seed because we haven't invested in it. We didn't believe enough in our own seeds, the seed of value within yourself, the seed of your progression, the seed of your strength, the seed of your talent and your potential. You didn't believe enough in your own seed. And so you refrained from watering it and nurturing it. You refrain from cultivating the soil of your mind, which is your thinking, right? You negate it from giving yourself to positive affirmations and just reframing how you see yourself. And so in the next season of your life, you met what you have believed. So here's the thing. We have a choice. Every day we have a choice. Every time that your mind thinks a thought, you have a choice. And in that choice, I submit to you, my sister, my brother, family, think on those things. That's scripture that are pure, that are praiseworthy. Think on those things that are of virtue. Think on those things about yourself. Yes, it may seem like basic sayings, but they're true. And the more you begin to see it, you will begin to walk in the cultivation of that truth. You begin to walk in the maturation of that seed becoming something, maturing and developing. And yes, it may be, you know what, today I may feel a certain type of way. I may feel like giving up, but I am not one who gives up. I am strong. It may seem to be confusing, but I have clarity. It may seem to be a losing battle, but I never lose. I always win. Even what seems to be a loss works for my good. And remind yourself, I am not my past. I am my present. And in my present, I choose to be the best version of myself that I can possibly be and make the best decisions that will empower me, not with regret or resentment, but with confidence and boldness to continue to move forward with progression. You can create those affirmations. Whatever it is that you feel on the inside of you that you want to declare about yourself, affirm yourself. This is who I am. You know, I like to say and like to think on this that if I'm thinking something good, I don't want to credit the enemy, the enemy of my mind, to tell me something good about myself that will lift me and encourage me and strengthen me and propel me to move in the right direction, make the right decision. No, that's the God on the inside of me. When we say we were made in his image and in his likeness, that's the likeness of God on the inside of you, rising up, encouraging you and directing you and pushing you to make the right decision, even in a difficult moment, pushing you forward when it feels like you are breaking past a barrier you've never passed before. You're breaking through doors that you didn't have to break past before because they weren't existent or you weren't at that level, but now you're on a new level. So you're stepping into uncomfortable areas with boldness to say, I was made for these moments. I was made to conquer. It's like that kid that's in school and every grade level, there's a level of nervousness. I'm going from the ninth grade to the 10th grade. I'm going from middle school to high school. But they step into it with boldness because if I made it through elementary, if I made it through middle school, I can make it through high school. If I made it through high school, I can make it through college. It's different landscape. There's different things, but I have the confidence to know that I can meet the challenges. So affirm yourself. Now here's the last bit that I want to give you. You find the affirmation and you create your own personal cadence. Whether it's every day, every month, or even if it's moment by moment, every time a negative thought hits your mind, you combat it with a positive affirmation. Try it, test it out. Give yourself 30 days. Give yourself a week and say for the next 7 days, I'm going to be consciously aware of what I think in my mind and what I say with my lips about myself. And for every negative thing that is not a projection of what I desire, I choose to reverse it. I choose to override it. But what speaks well of me, that what empowers me and equips me to become, to be, and to walk in that reality that speaks to the essence of who I am. All right, family. That wraps it up for today's session. I know that this is empowering. I know that this is strength. I know that this will help you to conquer, not just today, but every day. So from me to you, be affirmed. Hey, I just want to remind you, I am a certified life coach. I also have a men's group, Refinery Men. If you are looking to plug in to either one of those outlets for your future, send me a link, DM, Instagram, Facebook at I am Philip Suber. I look forward to working with you, empowering your future right now. All right, I will see you guys. Make sure you tap the subscribe button and share this podcast with somebody you know and love. Until next time, I'll see you at the next session.